It happened at the end of one summer when around 10 of my colleagues, both stewards and stewardesses, and I, who had free time, planned a trip to Cook Island, or Kokud. We stayed at a semi-resort house on a small private island not far from the Cambodian border. Wanting to travel like sophisticated people blending with simplicity, we embarked on our journey from Bangkok in the afternoon by air-conditioned bus from the Ekamai station to Trat Province. From there, we took a Songthaeyu to the pier and then a boat to our island accommodation. By the time we arrived, it was dusk, and everyone was extremely exhausted, barely managing to crawl into our lodging. After re-energizing with dinner prepared by the resort owner, we explored the house and its surroundings. The house resembled a traditional beach bungalow, raised about a meter off the ground, made of wood, and surrounded by windows allowing for good ventilation. The front faced the blue sea that matched the light blue of the house, and the back nestled against a small hill covered with various plants. Soft sounds of animals emerged from the nearby forest, but the one that made my skin crawl the most was the gecko's cry on the house walls. While exploring, we chatted with the locals working at the resort, all of whom were friendly, except for a family of 3 who eyed me and whispered among themselves oddly. That night, we sat on the beach, enjoying the breeze until nearly midnight before heading back to rest. Due to our close friendship, we all brought our sleeping gear and gathered in one big room, chatting and joking around. Gradually, the chatter turned to whispers and then silence. The moonlight faintly lit the room, and the sound of waves gently hitting the shore, combined with our travel fatigue, quickly lulled me to sleep. I didn't know how much time had passed when I was jolted awake by the gecko's loud cries outside. I pulled the blanket over my head and covered my ears in fear. Strangely, my friends slept soundly as if nothing had happened. After a while, the gecko's cries subsided, replaced by the soft voices of a man and a woman. I tried to understand what they were saying, but couldn't comprehend a single word. It sounded like myrrh. I turned towards a window where the voices came from and saw, in the dim moonlight, the family of 3 I had seen earlier. Their conversation stopped as they realized I was listening, and they turned to look at me with cold eyes. Oh, it's the local workers, I thought, and gently asked them, not wanting to disturb my sleeping friends. What's the matter? What are you doing here so late? My voice caused some friends to stir and turn over. As I glanced at them, I noticed the little boy who had been outside now stood at the bedroom door, holding a large stick. I was puzzled, unable to understand how he had sneaked into our room. Unexpectedly, he started running around the room, jumping over some of my still sleeping friends, knocking on the walls with the stick, and screaming. The noise was so piercing that I had to cover my ears. By now, my friends were awake, sitting up and looking around in confusion. I tried to stop the boy, but he continued running and knocking on the walls. Hey, can you get your kid out of here? He's really troublesome. I beckoned to the parents, but they seemed indifferent, ignoring that their son was disturbing our rest. Who are you talking to, Andy? And what's that noise? "Who's screaming and knocking on the walls?" One of my friends asked, looking around nervously, as if seeing no one. "I'm calling the kid's parents to take him out. He's running around instead of sleeping," I answered, frustrated, then got up and walked to the light switch panel by moonlight, pressing the switch repeatedly, but nothing happened. The room remained dark. Amid the confusion, I pressed the switch again and again, competing with the boys' screams and knocking. Frustration boiled over, and I shouted, "Stop running now!" As my shout ended, the ceiling light suddenly turned on, and the noise and the boy disappeared instantly. The room fell silent again, my friends huddled together in fear. I rushed to the window near my bed to look for the family, but they were gone. Peering into the darkness, I saw a shadowy group walking toward the pier. They glanced back at me with their usual indifferent eyes before disappearing into the night. The next morning, I went alone to the spot where I had seen the couple. My friends were busy packing to return to Bangkok. I found 2 spirit houses there, which we hadn't noticed before. Asking the workers, I learned they were built for a family who had fled the war in Cambodia years ago, but tragically drowned when their boat capsized. Their bodies washed ashore in front of our house. Strangely, no one had ever seen the spirits of that family before, and no one saw them again after that night.